Happy Friday night, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of You Gotta Be Sha Tinning Me, doing something different tonight because I'm a little lazy. And with this card, starting so early tomorrow, wanted to make sure we get this out with enough time for you diehards who are gonna, get your bets in tonight, or like Matt, who's probably gonna wake up at 4 a.m. and play the card.
Absolutely.
Figure, hey, we'll do this live. We didn't announce it. We'll see if anybody actually comes and watches, but it'll be around for everyone to watch here. But I also thought, this is the second time we're doing a live show. Obviously, the first time was us doing this while betting, but I think a little congratulations are in order because Matt, you did it. You hit a pick 3.
I finally did it. I finally hit for a decent score. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. What was it, about like 1,200, 1,100?
Yeah.
Something like that?
So it's funny. I actually hit. So I hit for 2 Bs. My lone A in the sequence was the 48-1 Happy Fat Cat and race 8. So yeah, that even for 80 cents though, it paid just short of $1,200, and I had a pretty decent win bet on that 4 as well. So. All in all, pretty good week, and we got some celebration in order for.
Yes, there we go.
For the victory. I think I at least said it to you. I was waiting for not a life-changing score, obviously, because I've never had one of those, but at least a 4-figure score to crack it open and see how it is. So what a time to be doing this live. You can see me descend very quickly, as I think this is upwards of like 14%.
Yeah,
but we're gonna crack this open.
I was laughing because I was gonna put the same one in the fridge, just I thought it'd be funny. But I went with I was just like going through the variants I had, and I was like, since I'm drinking this by myself, I was like, well, I want something good, but I don't want to drink something too special. So I have the 2021 Cherrywood Bourbon County here. So we'll be dueling bourbon counties here. I honestly do not remember tasting this one at all. So we'll see. I mean, I'm sure it's just going to taste like regular bourbon county. But what was funny is this thing is dusty as hell. So that's how you know it's good. And I actually does not all fit in my glass. I have this nice little stemless wine glass kind of thing.
You're actually going with the recommended snifter. I'm lazy and just going with the the Teku glass.
That's fine. The Teku glass is good for everything, man.
So yeah, but cheers to a successful week and hopefully a successful weekend to come. So
yeah, I guess while we're before we get into the pick 3 here, why don't we talk a little bit about Belmont? Saratoga or Bellatoga, as it's officially, or no, Belmatoga, as it's officially called. They are selling merch. I don't know. It was actually kind of funny.
Legal merch? Does the legal merch say Belmatoga?
Belmatoga. So it's funny because Mark yesterday, he didn't know if Andrew was going to live stream with us. He thought that he was, and Andrew hates the different names that they come up with, like, for all this stuff. He's like, no, it's Saratoga. It's the Belmont at Saratoga. And so Mark bought this just loud and obnoxious shirt just to troll Andrew. And later I'm like, that looks like an Old Smoke t-shirt. He's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, it's a JK shirt, right? He's like, it is? I was like, yeah. Because it just says Belmatoga multiple times everywhere. And he's like, I feel like maybe he said the shirt was like $120. And right. I was like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, but if there's a better way to burn $120 than trolling your friend, I can't think of one. We started talking about like meme bets that we've made to try to get back at each other and stuff. And yeah, I mean we've all burned a bit of money, I think, trying to get one over on other people. But
Do it probably every week, to be honest with
that is true. That's very true. And today was no different. But I finally did get one of my favorite horses home at a ridiculous price in Didia. I it's unfortunate the way that I attacked the card because I really thought I had really great opinions throughout the card, and especially in that late pick five. I thought I could get something going there, and worst case, I was like I'm gonna play the pick five and the pick four, and I just had a case of seconditis. I just kept running second. I mean, Chili Flag booms me when I've been on Chili Flag, including her win last time out, like the last like 3 or 4 times. And I finally get off, and she wins again. I had the 7 that came in second, and then but I mean whatever. Next race I was wrong, and then by the time I get to the Didia race, I put like a 1 unit bet, you know, and normally like if when I saw that price, it should have been 3 or 4 units, and it just I mean I tried doubling out of it to kind of spice it up, and then I was dead wrong against the favorite Torpedo Anna. So it is what it is. I we won't talk too much Belmont, but I guess I'll put you on the spot. Who's your pick for the Belmont tomorrow? Belmont Stakes.
Um, it's a great question. I don't know if I've completely even decided yet. Um,
I'm on Mystic Dan, and Caleb said in a live stream where he just absolutely dumped on all my picks, which never happens, by the way. Like Caleb and I always say that like if I'm all the way on the left and Mark's all the way on the right, Caleb bridges us really well, right? Usually, if I go and then Mark goes, Caleb like takes a little bit from both of us, right? Like he's usually in the middle of some way. But he was just like, I don't know what form you're looking at. Like he's like, there was a race where he's like, I picked every single horse except the one you picked. Like it was really bad, and it was to the point where his dad texted me today and goes, "Hey, you know, I watched the last 30 minutes of the stream, and Caleb's wrong. I love Mystic Dan, but yeah, he dumped on me for Mystic Dan. I don't know. I think that it's going to be the price is going to be too good. I mean, I think Seize the Gray is going to take a ton of money. And no, I think Seize the Gray has a shot to win, but I think maybe might actually get pressured this time with some other speed in the race, unlike last time out. But yeah, I don't know. I liked Mystic Dan quite a bit in the race, and then if not, I liked the couple of new shooters in that race. I'm already blanking on the names, but Mystic Dan, I think I have a future bet on him, or an advanced bet through maybe it's FanDuel. Like they did like a $20 free bet if you bet the advance. So I just put $20 on him for now, and then we'll see where we're at tomorrow and see how much we leverage that up. So
yeah, I mean, just from a pure who I think is going to win the race perspective, I mean, I like Sierra Leone. I was totally against in the Kentucky Derby, and I kind of got proven way wrong because I think, look, that horse was obviously a nose from winning that. I've always kind of thought I didn't like Mystic Dan because I thought that horse has distance limitations, to be honest with you, and I don't know that my opinion watching the Kentucky Derby changed that all that much because it got the best trip, right? I mean, it ran the shortest distance it possibly could to win that race, and I don't know that happens again. My problem with Sierra Leone is you probably get, 2-1 on that horse if you're lucky, and that's not a great spot to be. I just don't know where else to go, right? It's not a great betting race to me. I don't love it. To your point, I kept trying to find the new face and be like, okay, who do I actually want in here? Like, who's improving? Do I want a horse like Antiquarian coming out of the Peter Pan? Not really. Do I want a Rad on, an allowance horse coming in and mind frame out of 7-2 morning line? No. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'll probably just suck out and go to Sierra Leone and be done with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I like the two Todd Pletcher horses, and I mean he's just cold as hell. Well, two of the
He's been
Todd
running
Pletcher
so
horses.
bad, like so bad. And it was funny before we came on. I was talking about it, right? Like race one today. He was on one of his firsters with Arad up. Who I thought Arad's foot fell off yesterday, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm totally against. Kind of ran off the page or ran off the screen there, and
Yeah,
I was
they
like,
they had an
okay.
MRI his ankle, and it turned out it was just gout or something, right? Like
Yeah, he was
even
on
though it wasn't
he was on
gout, but
Capone's shellfish diet. Yeah.
oh yeah, oh man.
Sneaking in muscles in the winter circle. I don't know. He's doing. Too bad no one's watching this.
Oh man.
But yeah, I was like, oh, he's back. He ran out, and then nothing. I kept trying to play his horses like all weekend, and just I've been burned so many times. I don't know. Maybe he's back now, but who knows? Yeah, it's not a great race to me, and even today, right? Like I think I appropriately sized my betting to say like I don't really have that many good opinions on this
Yeah.
card. And I hit a couple small doubles, so I'm a couple dollars down, but being down $50, whatever. Like
Yeah,
it
which is
wasn't
fine,
a
right? Like if you're like, I mean, that's like a Cinnabon Downs, right? Like, I mean, hey, I'll put $25 in the ADW, and I'll fire a late pick four or something, right? Like, let's not get crazy, because what ends up happening is I do get crazy, and I fire a $72 pick four, and when you're
right.
out like one, or actually no, I think I got to the payoff leg that day, but that was that was not smart money management. But yeah, I played a little bit heavier today because I thought I had some strong opinions. I missed. So we'll lick our wounds. We'll come back tomorrow. I left myself at least with a shot to make a little bit of money, if not at least break even by going into the last race. So I gave myself a shot. I mean I was hoping to hit a nice big pick four, but wasn't to be. But yeah, I landed on Mystic Dan. I might use Mind Frame depending on the price. I think he floats up a little bit, but we'll see. And then I have Antiquarian as a C. Probably won't use, but I thought he was at least a little bit interesting as a horse that we haven't seen a ton of yet in here, because I don't know, some of these horses coming out of the Derby that we've seen enough of. I think they're worth a fade, but
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, do you try to play a horse like Honor Marie, thinking you get a decent price? I hated that horse coming in, so.
I mean, like
But
what I talked about on the stream yesterday was like I think Honor Marie was absolutely cranked for that Derby. That was a spot, right? And now they're running him back a month after, and it's like this is this the plan was the Derby, right? The horse was working well into the Derby. The horse looked great going into the Derby, and then just absolutely just the plan was not to be 20th at first call for Honor Marie. The plan was to be 12th to 14th at first call, right? Like be a couple lengths off, not 15 lengths off. And I think by the time he was able to make contact with the field, it was just way too late, and then he just kind of tired down the end. And that was definitely one of the horses I like. Sierra Leone, I loved Sierra Leone going into the Derby, and I don't know, maybe, and this could just be me being too price sensitive, but like I thought Sierra Leone was a little bit of value going into the Derby at the price he ended up going off at. What was it, like 4.5 to 1? Yeah,
yeah,
and now you're seeing 9 to 5 in the morning line. I haven't looked to see what the imputed odds are off the double, but I'm sure it's right there. And I saw some of the early money coming in, just pouring in on the 1 and the 9 on Seize the Gray and Sierra Leone. So yeah,
yeah. Normally, Normally, I would say that horse is a play against, right? I don't think looking at the way the track's been playing, I don't really think you want a deep dirt closer. I also don't think you really want to be wide. I think I was trying to, I don't know, Saratoga I've watched a ton of, and I've always tried to figure out. It's one of those tracks I think you need to be at in person to figure out what's actually going on. I always said I see horses like slingshot coming into the turn and going three wide, and they never get there, and I could never figure out why. Until you go down to that track and you see, go all the way down to the end of the grandstand, right? Basically all the way you can right on that turn. And if you've been to a place like Belmont and then you go to a place like Saratoga, you can kind of see it. Belmont is this big sweeping turn, right? You could be 8 wide on that and kind of have all your momentum. It doesn't really matter. The track is so huge that you'll never lose anything coming into that. And Saratoga is almost like this old school, like it takes a turn and then it just takes a left. And so to me, if you're 3 wide coming into that turn, you're slingshotting directly at the grandstand. You're trying to accelerate and you are accelerating into people. And so horses have to course correct and just have no momentum coming in. And so to me, I say, hey, Sierra Leone's probably the best horse. But if that horse is going to try that 3 wide slingshot move into the turn, there's no chance it's winning that race. There's not going to have enough momentum coming into that stretch to win unless you have some really tired horses. And I just don't think it's going to fall apart. So I say Sierra Leone that I want to bet it, but that's only because I probably don't have a great perspective of how this race is actually going to shape up. And I really probably don't like anyone in here. It's hard not to say, like, hey, I don't really want to bet this race at all. But that's probably on a normal day where I would end up and say, I don't really want to bet this thing.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, I mean, Caleb, Mark, and Matt DeSantis, they all were all in on Sierra Leone. I mean, they were just like most likely winner on the card. Like, that just makes me want even more to play against. Like, I mean, the contrarian to me is like, well, great, like. I mean, me being on Mystic Dan and just everyone thinking I'm crazy, like maybe I'm crazy like a fox. I don't know. I don't know. I think Mystic Dan's just very consistent horse. I think. I mean, he paired the last 2 races. I mean, we saw what Kenny's filly did today. Maybe he's got Mystic Dan cranked up as well. So we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting race. I mean, it's a great card tomorrow. There's just a ton of really good races. So if you're not going to bet that race, I mean, I'm sure you'll be able to find something else in there to bet.
It is one of those days that's going to be like, I know I've referred to it before as like the Le Mans of racing, right? Because Sha Tin is going to start at 4 in the morning, and Losal has a pick 6 carryover that's probably going to end around 1 in the morning. So there's a good like 21 hours of racing if you really want to go all day and watch this. There's plenty of opportunity.
So I've wanted to set up like some kind of live horse racing tourney that starts at like in the UK, like you have to bet like a couple races in the UK, then the US, then
it's just like 70 mandatory races. Yeah.
but it's like 12 hours, right? Like or more than 12 hours. It's like 16 hours. It's like from like 10 a.m. till like 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. or something like that. Like just like who can grind it out, like really grind it out. I mean, it's kind of like what the NHC is, but like, the NHC is only US races, But
it's funny because I've never been to the NHC, but like you've always said that people are like, wow, this is such a long day, and I'm like, that just seems like a Saturday. Like that's fun.
I say this like half jokingly, but maybe not. Like I think I could do it. Like I got the stamina, right? Like this is nothing, right? I do this shit all the time.
Been training for this our whole
lives.
Yeah,
I've been training exactly. I think when I accidentally qualify for the NHC at one of the Hawthorne tournaments or something, I'll add you as my +1, and we'll attack this thing.
We'll be in there before the tournament playing like some foreign country and then staying late afterward.
I mean, worst case, we'll get a lot of drink tickets, right? And we'll have a good time. Go. I mean, last time we went, Caleb got overserved on what was it? Four Roses Small Batch Select, which is like a $60 bourbon, right? Like it's very, very good. And he just like, then he comes in my room like swinging a bourbon bottle around like he's gonna hurt somebody, and then passes out on the bed. But you know, it's good times. But yeah, let's take a look at this pick 3 here. We're gonna start here. Race 8, the Pola Cup handicap, whatever. Class 3 racing here, and you got a nice full field here at 13, and Matt, I see slow to good pace, and I see a horse that might just be lone speed that's coming in out of 2 straight wins, and I just got to bet it. And the 5 Flamingo Trillion coming in here in really good form. Drawn okay, right? Drawn right in the middle of the pack, but does have a win on this, well, not this track, but the same distance, breaking from the 7 post. So, I think maybe is going against slightly better horses here than what he's probably been facing at Happy Valley, but he's got just an absolute dream pace scenario here because it just doesn't look like there's much speed. I mean, like you got the 3 Alacrity who looks like maybe has a little bit of speed, but you look at his distance turf races and he hasn't shown that speed. And I mean the 8 showed a little bit of speed last time, but that was going an extra furlong. And you look at those 16 those mile races, and he's not as close up there. So I think the one thing you can say about the 8 is that the 8 does have the rail draw. So maybe Karis Teton, tries to be more tactical or use more of that early speed and try and maybe hustle the horse out. But I don't know. I think the 5 Flamingo Trillion is going to be kind of tough to beat in here, coming off the 2 back-to-back wins. So I have him as a lone A, and then I have 2 Bs in here. I have a feeling this is like one of those races where I probably took the top 3 choices because I think the 1 Stunning Peach is, interesting horse that runs 8th and doesn't drop any weight, then runs 2nd, doesn't drop any weight, and is still sitting at 135 pounds here. I mean, Zach stays aboard for a 3rd time. 3rd up. We've talked about this numerous times. That 3rd up for these horses tends to be like when they're kind of at their peak. So you got to think that this horse is probably coming in here very live, very well meant. Drawn very well, drawn in the 2 posts there. So I think Zach's going to be able to navigate a trip. But, I mean, giving up 6 pounds to this 5, who's going to be on the lead, I kind of knocked down to a B. And like, I just don't know what price you're going to get, right? The 1 hasn't taken money or took money on debut, didn't take money the 2nd time out, and outran his odds. I think the public's going to correct. I think this is going to be a horse that's going to be, probably 4 to 5 to 1, and maybe would be a little bit overlaid at that price. And the other horse I'm going to take is a 7 here, Starmac. Hugh Bowman aboard here, and this is one that was running in those restricted 4-year-old races. Those kind of like stakes level races, I guess you kind of call it. And, was running decently, came back down to class 3. It looked like they're trying to put, get this horse to go, obviously further mile, go the full 2 turns. Hugh Bowman stays aboard. Kind of the same thing with like Zach. I think this horse is pretty well meant. Obviously, if Hugh thinks that he's going to go ahead and stay aboard here, the draw's not great. Drawn in the 9 post, but once again, he's getting 8 pounds over the high weight in this race, and maybe that's just enough to kind of make the difference there. I'm pretty sure on Speed Pro, the 7 looked to be kind of their top pick off of races there. They really liked the Sha Tin race at 1800. Was that 4-back? Where he was kind of running in that stakes race. So
yeah, closed really from like that last. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that this is the right distance. I think that this is probably I could maybe see this horse, jumping up back up to class two, maybe with a win here. So I have him as a B. We'll see what kind of price. I think it's going to be another middle price. I don't think you're going to get much of a huge price on this. Probably another 4-1, 5-1 shot here. But those are the three horses I'm going to use. I'm going to use the five. I'm going to use the one and the seven as Bs.
Yeah, I saw this pretty similar to you, although I will say I tossed the five because I don't like horses that have won doing something and then immediately have to change and do something else. So, especially at 1800, right? The difference between Happy Valley and Sha Tin is Happy Valley is a two-turn race and Sha Tin's a one-turn,
Yeah.
right? So, um, I tossed the five because of that. I was like, if you're going to pick up weight, right? Obviously, you're coming in off two straight wins, and yeah, maybe distance is distance, but I do think that trying to pick up weight and exhibit something at a different track is just hard. It's a lot to ask. So I punted that one. I thought similar of the two, Winning Dragon. I thought Winning Dragon looked like a two-turn horse to me. I did think that horse would take money. So I do think, of those are probably your top four choices. And I went with the one and the seven for very similar reasons that you did. I do think seven, you probably get fourth choice of it just because of the record. I think if you see that horse is 0 for 9, right? It hasn't even hit a place line ever. I think people eventually react to that and say, hey, maybe this horse just doesn't want to win. I do think it has enough, like you said, it's shown enough where it can steal one. I think it's overdue for a win, to be honest with you. That's not always the best angle. I know I kind of try and avoid those horses, but given I don't want to go for the two and the five, I think the one is probably your likely favorite. With Zach staying up, I think it'll appreciate the extra distance. I do think with the much better draw that it had last time, that horse probably goes off favored. Um, but I think you have to use it. I do like that horse a lot, and yeah, I think the seven is the other likely choice. I didn't see too much else in here that I really wanted to go to. I'll probably just try and stay thin and use the one and the seven, and hope my intuitions are right that the two and the five are more two-turn horses and don't want that kind of mile and a 16th one turn race. So that's where I'll go. I'll keep it a little bit trimmed here and get a little bit spready probably in the next two races.
Yeah, like the horse Helios Express that was kind of beaten up on the seven. He he is like rated like 102 or
102.
something.
Yeah, and then
So
yeah, those 4-year-old races have some really really big deal horses, right? I forget who won
yeah,
the 2000-meter race, but
Massive Sovereign.
yeah, that horse is at 107, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
So I
again,
mean,
big
it's
deal, right? They're top, top echelon. You get that, right? So
yeah. So I think, like I said, like I just think that this is gonna be easier spot. But I guess you could say the same thing about the last two races, right? That hey, like he was there. I mean, hey, last time he had the rail draw, right? But I'll
yeah, I don't know that's where you wanted to be honest with you, right? Sometimes that you see hay rail and you just think, oh, that's good. Maybe not, right? So I think there's enough excuses there where I think that seven has a live shot. I'm not too bothered by the 0 for 9 lifetime, to be perfectly honest with you, but
yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm making it an A because I do think as much as I'm like, oh, 0 for 9, that horse hates winning. Uh, there's context to it. So
Yeah.
yeah, much like you saw.
Cool. All right, let's move on to the next race. I thought this race was tough, race 9. I mean, it's class 4, right? So I feel like
There's
it's
only
kind.
one horse you need. You already know where I'm going with this. You'll know when you
Oh,
see it.
yeah. What are you going? Are you going with the 14 or the
No,
13?
no,
Where are you
no. Come
going?
on. There is one horse in here that I will open at least as good, if not better, a bottle than this if it wins, because we are going to be celebrating a baby shower because I've been betting this horse for 9 straight months. Okay, that horse is fully pregnant. The baby is due for this. That is the 6 Flying Mojito. I have
Oh
bet this
my
horse a
God.
whole season, and we are ready. Okay, it is going to be a win. We're gonna celebrate. We're gonna have balloons, streamers. Maybe I'll buy a nice poster to put behind me and just talk about it every single podcast we have. I can't not. Right, you already know that will be my lone A. I have to. I can't not bet this horse, and it is primed. I can't follow a horse for a whole season and not play it now. So be ready.
Yeah, I looked very hard at the 6, and you know what? I'm just for you because I don't want to be left out here. I'm gonna make this horse a B live
Ah,
here because I want to make sure I'm able to celebrate this time unlike last time.
yeah.
But
I'll,
I
I'll
mean I
send you
did
the link to the registry for it.
yeah
You
I
send me a
mean
gift.
I did I stared at this horse a while. The draw kind of turned me off a little bit. Because I thought that this was a horse that, if you know, maybe if he was drawn a little bit better. I mean, I don't think the last couple of races have been bad, right? I mean, he's been right there. I mean, if you look at his weight, he's just kind of sat around the 130, 131, 129, kind of bouncing up and down. So I think he's kind of where he's at, where he should be, and yeah, my only concern with this race is, I looked and, the one California totality is shown speed, but, you know, he's drawn out in the 7 post. And like last time he was drawn in the 12 post. And I think that uh, Abdullah just thought that he had to get out from and hustle the horse up. And he got the lead. And obviously he didn't win. Last time in the 7 post, kind of sat off, and won. Won as a pretty short price favorite. He's been the favorite the last 4 races. Won 2 of those races. But I don't know. The 3 Ariel, I think, is drawn inside, and has shown pretty good speed. And you're getting the 7 pound bug again, right? And I don't know. I think, with a slightly better draw, he finished second last time by a half length. I think with just that slightly better draw, that race, maybe that's all the push the horse needs. I think he's right there. He's prepped for a win, and now you're getting just that slightly better draw, and you're stretching out a little bit too, right? This horse should get the lead, in my opinion, but we'll see what happens. But I don't know. I thought with the better draw, just stretching out a little bit, and the fact that the other speed, the one here, I think he's gonna be more than happy to rate from his spot. And I didn't really see too much more speed. Maybe the 14 special hedge, the low weight here with the Hewitts in the board, but he's also drawn out pretty wide. So, yeah, I thought the three made a ton of sense. I'm using him as my lone A. I'm gonna use your 6 now. And I mean, I have the one California totality as a B. But it might be tough to swallow with the price, because I don't know. I think there's a good chance that this horse, just goes off as your favorite again for the 5th straight time. And I mean, it hasn't been a heavy favorite, right? It's been sitting at 3-1, but I think it might be one that I'm just gonna have to use and try and get past this slug.
Yeah, I went a couple different directions. Obviously, I mean, my memes aside, right? There's a few horses that I've bet in here a bunch. I do kind of like California Totality, right? I thought, right, last time the concern was that it was facing some really good horses and picking up that weight, right? Just didn't want to take it in that race.
Hmm.
I, I think this is a weaker field, and I think those excuses probably go away enough where you could argue, hey, it's this is where it will shine, right? There isn't that same sort of quality behind that I think can close. And so because of that, right, I do think it's a must use. I do think it probably goes off favored, but I'm more apt to use it here. Whereas I know what probably a couple weeks ago when we were talking about that horse, we were saying, hey, it moved up in weight. That rise was too fast. It's, you don't want to see a horse picking up 13 pounds, 14 pounds and having to, try and, win against the same field, right? You see the effect of weight kind of take its toll there. But I think there's enough here to, argue, it has enough to win in a field like this.
Yeah.
I kind of like the 7 looking at it, and this is one of those horses that I really squinted at, trying to be like, okay, is there something there? Darcy Joy has been running 2-turn races for a long time, and I don't know why, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if it's just because they're weaker fields or it can just, kind of run more often in that, right? We've talked a lot about the fact that I don't think Hong Kong has a lot of 2-turn horses, so maybe it's just trying to find softer spots by doing that. But I do think that the better races it's run, to be honest with you, have been at that 1-turn configuration. You see back in like December and January, not that it's it's obviously finishing 7th, but I do think those tracks were kind of playing against it, to be honest with you, and I think the cut back to 1600 is probably good. If you look at the record, it's got 4 wins lifetime out of 43 starts. 2 of those are at 1600, right? So half its wins are here in only 14 races. It's got 5 seconds in that. So half the time it's finishing first or second. It's hitting the exacta. That to me screams, hey, maybe it's a miler. And I think, I'm willing to try in this spot. So I'm going to use that one. Horse that I may use or may not use, the 8 Lucky Touch. It's Zach. It's hitting that 4th race. I don't know. All those things would be like, okay, cool. This is the the spot where if it hasn't shown something on paper, maybe it'll get value here. But I think it's one of those horses you may not get value. It's drawn too wide. Zach's up. So the good thing about this is I'll be awake to actually see it. So TBD on that. And then the only other one was the 11, Call Me Supreme. Again, I think you've seen kind of the past couple weeks I've said, hey, I don't like horses that lose the draw lottery and then come back. I've been trying that angle for a couple weeks. It has not worked at all. But this horse has really lost the draft lottery or the draw lottery a couple times, right? I mean, it's drawn 14 twice. That's hard to do. And not that it's won it this time. It's drawn 10th. So maybe, right? I think this is one that I might not use and just say, hey, once it hits that 4th race, if it draws anywhere inside double digits, send it, right? I think it's shown enough from those bad draws to be competitive here. It does get kind of a jockey downgrade in Matthew Chadwick. It's still drawn wide. I don't know. It's just one to keep an eye on probably, but maybe I'll use it in some way. So, yeah, most of my money will be through the meme, and probably get wide a few others and a B in case that doesn't work, since it hasn't worked in 9 months, but it's due, so it's definitely going to work.
All right, race 10 then. The Po Pak Fu Lam Reservoir Road Handicap Class 3 race going the unicorn distance of 7 furlongs. I had a question for you because this race it put my head into a pretzel, right? Because I have no idea what is going on with the pace in this race. You got the 2 8 Light Years who has been forwardly placed, but has generally not been right on the lead. And then, like 2 back, Zach just hustled the horse out, got him on the lead, and he went wire to wire and won. And then next time out, basically the same trip, Zach decides to kind of pull the horse back a little bit, or maybe he just doesn't break out as well, and just kind of sits back. So, you see some ones, but you don't see a lot of ones in the PPs. So it's not. I can't say that it's a dead set closer. Then you look at like Beauty Crescent, right? Who showed some speed 1800, but obviously 1400 is a little bit different. And there was, I think, another horse in here. I think the 10.
Yep.
The 10 has shown some tactical speed, but has just absolutely not gotten, I think, a good enough draw to be able to show a lot of it. And now gets the bug, gets the 3 post, which is the best he's drawn in the last 5 races. And I don't know. I think maybe the 10 kind of ends up being your leader here. And I don't know. I think the 10's kind of sneaky here at a pretty huge price. He won at 71 to 1. And if you don't come to the wedding, don't go to the funeral, right? But he went off at 24 to 1 next time out, right? Which, I mean, it's not 71 to 1, right? But like, you get a 24 to 1 shot home, you're pretty happy, right? So he didn't take all that much money. And I don't know, now he's getting the bug, he's drawing a little bit better. And what are we looking at? He's going to be what, 15 pounds less than his when he won wire to wire, or just off the pace. So I don't know. I thought he was very interesting in this spot. I had a question mark. I'm gonna make him a solid B. I think of the horses in here, the one I trust the most is probably the 7, the Air. Just kind of a consistent horse. I think his best race, or some of the others' best race, I think overshadow his best races. But I think that he's just very consistent, and his races are close, right? And you see it in the form, right? You see he's right there at the end of every race, and he gets the rail draw again, and and I just don't think there's not going to be that much, I think, speed in this race that, he might be sitting, instead of sitting 6th or 7th, maybe he's sitting like 4th or 5th, 2 lengths off, 3 lengths off instead of 4 lengths off. And maybe that's just enough to kind of, get him over the edge. So I'm going to use the Air as my lone A. 80 light years, probably uses a B just because I think that there's a shot that he just goes to the lead and there's not a ton of more speed here. But I do think the 10, I think, is better positioned to possibly get that lead. And if not, sit second. And I think he might just get a really, really nice trip here and just trip out kind of like he did 2 back at a huge price. And, you're getting a huge weight break from that win, albeit against better horses now. But I don't know. I think the 10 Beauty Glory is definitely a player in here.
So I'm laughing a bit because I thought this race was incredibly tough to cap. And I did the thing that you probably shouldn't do in racing, but it might be good for you. It might actually work out in this case. I wrote down 6 horses and then I trimmed it back to 3 because I was like, okay, who can I make an excuse to cut? And the 3 horses I ended up cutting are the exact 3 horses that you're on. So, so this is actually really, really good for you. You should absolutely play these in every single way you can.
Oh God.
Look, I saw pace the same as you. But I think I saw it in a much different way, right? I think the 2 and the 10 are absolutely both vying for the lead. I think the fact that they both have bug jocks up is indicative to me that they really both do want to send. I also think that means they probably think they don't have enough natural speed to do it. And I think what's going to happen is both of those horses burn each other out. I think 80 light years has been running at 1200 and been fading out the back. I don't think 1400 is going to do that horse any favors at all. Speed Pro definitely has that on a lone lead because of it. Because I think it's shown that, more natural speed at 1200. But I think this horse is too distance compromised, to be honest with you. I think the 7 furlongs is going to be a challenge. And I think that horse fades. The problem is that I also think Beauty Glory probably tries to keep up with that horse and get the lead. And I think because of that, probably also fades out the back in doing it. Part of the reason that horse looks so bad last time to me, and you see that weight break, is because of the move up in class, right? It won at class 4, and you kind of see that natural resistance, I think, of it hitting class 3. And so when you see horses that have run probably like 40 times, right, and they're hitting like that, those deep races, right, they're not going to magically all of a sudden, well, maybe they do, some do, very few do. Um, but I think that horse has been at its level, right? You've seen it hit class three and really hit that resistance, and then move back down to class four and win, move back up to class three, hit that resistance, right? I think you saw that last time too. I think that horse tried to send and do something to, kind of steal one on the front end. And I think it just fades out the back. I don't think it's good enough to compete in class three. So I do think those two horses probably end up canceling each other out. And I do then want to favor some other horses that can probably close in. Um, and so because of that, I'm not going to use either of them. And then the other horse, the Air that you talked about, right? I think that's one of those horses, like I mentioned a couple races back, and even you saw it on Wednesday. There are certain horses that I think just don't like winning and take a lot of money because they keep hitting the board, right? You see those horses kind of keep hitting the place line. I forget the name of the horse that was probably actually in that race with Happy Fat Cat that I ended up hitting so big on. I think the reason that I had that price come in on Wednesday was because everyone wanted to use that horse in the three that I think had hit the board something like 80% of the time, right? And everyone was kind of like, okay, the horse is due. It went off, I think, it under 2 to 1, if not 2 to 1, and that horse didn't even hit the board. But realistically, right, like I was fading that. I think I might have even sucked out and used it as a B, but I didn't want to use that as an A because it was a horse that hadn't won. And in Hong Kong, especially, that really punishes you. When you finish second and third, not only are you not winning, but you're still moving up in weight. So you're not good enough to win at that weight, and they punish you by moving up in rating so you get additional pounds. And so you're still not good enough to win, but you keep moving up. And so you're always kind of that bridesmaid horse. And, maybe domestically where you're sitting at the same weight, eventually you find a soft enough field. I don't think that happens here. I think you eventually then have to come back down to find the right level. And for horses that are really good at finishing second and kind of want to hit that wire, without winning, you do see that there are certain horses that just kind of always hit the place line. They're probably very easy money to get a place line bet on if that's what you want to do, if you want to put a lot of money on that. But I don't want to use it on the win angle because I think people are going to overplay that. So those are the three that I don't want. So congrats to you when I walked that in. But there's three other horses that I think I went to for kind of various reasons, right? I'll kind of take them in order because I think I'll use them all as A's. I think I'll just kind of go flat across and play this in, an interesting way, right? Or not an interesting way, but probably an unstructured way where normally I'd try and apply some sort of, A, B to it. The first one was a 3, Beauty Crescent. Part of what interested me here was the fact that Brenton Abdullah landed here and not the 10. And again, maybe that's because they wanted the bug up to, kind of send the speed. I do think this horse is overdue for a win, right? I just mentioned horses that don't like winning, and now I immediately tell you that I'm going to bet an over 15 lifetime, so yay me. But yeah, I mean, I think, look, this horse has, it's hit the board 3 out of 5 times at 1400. I do kind of see that Z pattern happening last time. Kind of faded back, started out 8th, hit 10th, and then closed into 6th. And, what was an average, kind of track, right? It wasn't playing distinctly forward. But anytime you kind of see that, fading back and then making progress, you say, okay, that horse might have some ability. It is picking up a little bit of weight. Okay. The draw is not that much better. But, hey, I think it has at least shown enough to say, maybe it can find a win. Maybe it's off form. Maybe it's one that I don't want. Maybe it's one that I should make a B. But I'm at least willing to try on that. The other horse, or one of the other horses I like, is the 6 Silver Sonic. I don't love Luke Ferraris, but this horse has 2 lifetime wins. One is at the distance, right? It's 1 for 3 at the distance. The other time it's finished third. I think it's that horse that will sit just off. I don't know what the weather's going to do tomorrow. I think it's been raining on and off once you hit summer, right? Who knows what the track's going to do? So, some of this is just kind of a toss-up. But I think it's the horse that will likely inherit the win if it's playing forward, but the 2 and the 10 burn each other out. I think it'll just sit in that second flight and be able to kind of, close down, kind of sit off of them. And when the 2 and the 10 burn each other out, like I think they will, that's the horse that I want to kind of pick up the pieces, right? If you're not going to have a closer, at least have that horse that can kind of be that stayer and running on in that second flight. And to me, That's what I really like. I like that, kind of that cutback from it's been running 2 turns. Now it's at 1600. I think 1400 it will benefit that, right? You kind of saw it fade out last time at 1600. So, hey, maybe 1400 is, like I said, what it wants to do. So that's the second. The third is the 9 Super Goldie, right? I think of the two horses between the 9 and the 10 that were kind of going with that, rising in class. This is obviously the lighter raced horse. I think that horse had a lot of excuses last time, right? It had a poor draw. It had to settle the last and try and close in. It did close into a very forward track. And so to me, again, if I think it gets hot up front and it falls apart, that 10 is one that I think will hit that class resistance. The 9, I think, is the one that you could argue has room to grow, right? You've seen that progression, and I think that progression, because of an excuse last time, can continue. So, give me the 3, the 6, and the 9. I'll play them all, and kind of fade all the ones that you had mentioned, ironically. So we'll go there.
That's so funny. Oh man! Anything else on this card that you wanted to talk about?
I haven't had a chance to look. I mean, like I said, I barely had a chance to look at the the Belmont card tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't even know it was happening on on Saturday.
I know. I was laughing. So I saw Keith Bush, one of my friends, a guy I've talked to a couple times, and his he watches, and he posted. He was like, just remember, it's going to be early tomorrow, and we had mentioned it. Well, you had mentioned it to me like maybe yesterday or the day before, and we were going to try and record earlier today, but obviously life gets in the way. Unfortunately, Matt, your kid got sick.
My daughter has pink eye, which is great, so I don't have pink eye, and if I did, I'll just pour this in my eyeball to disinfect.
Otherwise, we probably could have snuck this in during work or something, just real quick, and gotten it out early. But of course, you were playing dad, so. I don't have that type of responsibility, so cheers to that.
This is great, by the way. I do love it. I kind of wish I drank it earlier. To be honest, I think some of the flavors had faded out of it. I think it kind of muted it a little bit.
Yeah, because I think it's probably what year is it? 2021?
2022.
2022.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I think for anyone, drinking at home, this is based on a Jungle Bird cocktail.
I think so. Yeah.
So so it mentions notes of like pineapple, coconut, lime juice, banana. I get a little bit of the lime juice. I get a little bit of that tropical flavor, but I probably feel like it's one that when it first came out was probably a little bit more pronounced, and now it's like
it was more pronounced. And my wife would tell you that it was way too much.
Really?
So yeah.
So I barely get it now, which is
interesting.
Yeah, like I mean I've drank a fair bit of Bourbon County, so it's not like the overpower. Like I've had like the coffee variants, which are very coffee, and the my favorite, the Bramble Rye, which obviously they don't produce anymore, but that was kind of very berry forward and things like that.
Did you get any of the Did you get any of the Backyard Rye this year?
I didn't. No. Did I? I don't think I did. No.
I'm sure you could still find it because I don't think that they sell out anymore. So.
I'll be looking for it then, but maybe I did. I don't know. I can't remember what I bought. That's how I have such a collection of beer that I don't drink that I hope that 6 wins because then I'll just open another one next week. It'll be an occasion. So
there you
go. But yeah, no, I definitely get the lime on this. I get a little bit of tropical flavor, but to me it just reads more like typical Bourbon County. So
I felt so bad. So we went to Prop Day, which is it's the event I tell you that you need to come out for. Like
yes,
it's awesome, and they have like I don't know how they got their hands on it, but they have an old CTA train, L train, and they converted it into a bar. And so, like, it's like they serve prop out of it, and they serve different years out of it, right? And so, my wife, she loves beer. She loves going to breweries with me. She loves doing all this stuff. Like, she might like beer more than I do. Like, I like the stouts. Like, I'm really into this stuff. But like, on a day to day. Like, my wife will crack open a beer, like, because she likes IPAs, she likes everything. Whereas me, I'm like, IPAs I have to really be in the mood for. I kind of give a take. I'm more of a pale ale guy, if anything. Um, uh, but lagers and stuff like I'll open up a Modelo or something, or the exact fucking opposite, right? Something super heavy like this, and
Both ends of the spectrum, yeah.
exactly. But like the middle, I don't hang out in the middle all that much anymore, and um, so we're at the event, and but she's got a terrible memory of like what she's had and what she hasn't had. Like she can tell you like the styles she likes, but like she wouldn't be able to tell you the beers that she likes. I mean, she knows a couple. Like she knows like her like favorite. Like her favorite beer period is probably Great Lakes Christmas Ale. She's because she loves Christmas and she just
We
loves it.
talked about that, yes.
Yeah, and she just loves this beer. But so she hated that beer that you have. She just does not like it. She also does not like Jungle Birds. So I mean that makes sense. But she didn't like it. She thought it was just way too weird. And so her not knowing, right, what she's had and what she hasn't had, we go up to you get like 6 or 7 tokens, right? And basically it's like enough to try one of every variant, right? And what we normally do is like we'll split it, right? And we'll each get one of the variants and like taste each other's just in case there's like one no, someone doesn't like, then it's like you don't have to waste the whole token on it, right? So but they're pretty generous port. I mean, you're buzzed,
Yeah,
you're way drunk
getting
by
lit
the
up.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But we get in line and I get whatever I think it was this year's prop, and they ask her which one she wants, and she's like, and they like listed like the years, and she's like, I'll take 22. And I was like, fuck, I should have told her not to get 22. She takes one sip of it, and she looks at me. She goes, "This is the damn tiki one, isn't it?" And she loves tiki drinks. She just did not like the beer. I was like, "Yes." I'm like, "We'll switch." And so she's like, "No, it's fine. I'll drink it." I'm like, "No, we can switch. I like that one." So I took a sip of the this year's, which was really good. It was like rice pudding. So I might have a couple extra ones if you want one. So, but
Save them. We can hit for
Well,
more tickets. And
okay, all right, and then we'll celebrate with additional beers. But yeah, I felt so bad, and so I was like, all right, you can have this one, and she liked that one much better. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, so that's the last time I've had that beer was in November, and it was on tap. And it was still very strong. And I even told my wife, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, you'd probably like this maybe in a couple more months. So maybe I'll crack one open with her this weekend and see how it tastes. So
There you go. Yeah, no, it's funny because my wife does not like stouts at all. Like she's very
mm,
much a like I think she kind of cut her teeth on like the Shock Top and Blue Moons of the world,
yep.
and then transitioned into like New England IPAs, which are kind of similar, right? They have that citrusy kind of weedy
Hmm.
feel to them, but that's basically all she drinks, right? She doesn't like lager. She will not drink stout. She doesn't drink coffee at all. So she looked at the label of this and is like, "What the f are you doing?" Like she hates coconut, she hates banana, she hates stouts. She's like, "This is the most disgusting thing you could possibly put in
That's
front
so
of me."
funny.
So she has not tried this, and she
Yeah,
won't.
yeah.
But
My wife is like the hoppier the better. Like she's like triple IPAs, love it, just like that, and like Belgian beers, she's all about it. She's all about, but yeah, that this was one that she just couldn't drive with. She doesn't like barley wines either, and I love barley
yeah,
wines, so she's just like,
those are heavy. My wife did like some of the Belgians. We went over to like Brussels and Bruges, and we some of the Tripels and things like that were over there were good. Some of those are rocket fuel though, just like
oh yeah.
14%. Like they'll light you up. But
I know.
um,
I've been thinking. I've always wanted to get. Was it Westverleven 12? Is
West
that what it's called?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're it's very good. I do think you can get something very similar in what's like the
The
not the
Saint
clone, but like
Bernardus,
yeah,
the
yeah,
F
yeah, yeah.
12.
It is very similar, and so like it's funny because if you go over to like if you go over to anywhere in Belgium or like any of the hot beer spots, like if you go to Bruges, right, like all the breweries they'll have like hundreds of beers on tap, and they will serve that, but like that's the beer that they mark up, so that's like you'll pay like, you know, $20 a bottle for it or something like that. So I did it. I had to have it. It's good, right? It is very good. It's worth the experience, but I guess I wasn't the person that would be like, okay, I need to ship this back. There are other beers over there that I would ship back. I think when we went to Bruges, we went to De Gar, if you've ever heard of it, which is like all they serve one beer. It is a 14% Tripel. They serve a plate of cheese with it because you need something to eat. They found that if you drink that without food, you won't be able to find the door. So yeah, if you've never been over to Belgium, I highly recommend it. But yeah, there's a lot of good beer over there, and you know, West Flemish, I don't know, it was fine. It was good. I don't regret paying for a bottle, but I think the St. Bernardus is probably close enough.
Pretty close. I love the App 12. Like, that's
you should get it then, right? I mean, if you love it, it is. They're close. They're not the same. I will say it's a little bit better. So if you can get it and ship some over, do it. It's worth it.
I mean, I think I've said this on this podcast before. The beer that got me into craft beer was Delirium Tremens. Like, that was, you know, my buddy calls me up. He's like, dude, we got to go to this bar. They have this beer. It says people say it's the best beer in the world. It is so good. You have to have this. And so we went to this little dive bar in Brookfield, Illinois, called Brixie's. And this was like one of the greatest. It was such a cool spot. It was a craft beer bar before craft beer was like a real big thing. Yeah. So I mean, this must have been 2008, maybe, that I was there. Right? How old would I have been in 2008? Shit. 22? Yeah. So, yeah, just, you know, we went to this place, and they had 24 beers on tap. And they had Rolling Rock, they had PBR, and everything else was craft. And in 2008, that was just like unheard of. And they had Delirium Tremens, and I ended up going to Brixie's basically like every weekend to try a different beer. It was awesome.
It's funny. I could tell you the exact liquor store that I went to cut my teeth, and it's probably, I'd imagine it's still open. Up near Saratoga, actually. It's in Glenville, New York, because I went to college up there. And I remember the first expensive beer that I got that got me into craft beer was Hoegaarden, which I don't even think is all that expensive anymore. But I was like, okay, like I didn't know beer could be expensive, so I was like, I'll just buy that. And thinking back to it, I think I may have mentioned this on this podcast before, but this was back when I was in college. So in like 2006, 2007, you would walk in there and you could do growler fills. They had 10 taps on the wall, like rotating, of craft beer. And in 2006, thinking back to it, I was like, that I should have taken way more advantage of that. Granted, I didn't have any money and I didn't know what it was, but for a store to have that in 2006 was like light years ahead of anything I knew existed. And so eventually, like, I started buying some bombers there and things like that. And that's, I think, what really got me into it before it, you know, kind of all took off. But yeah, I was spoiled for having that close. So maybe when I go up to Saratoga, or if I go up to Saratoga this year, I'll make a stop on the way up and you know, see if we can purchase something. So
for old time's sake, huh?
Yeah, you know, frequent the store.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on You've Got to Be Sha Tinning Me. Obviously, check us out at ontherwronglead.com, at @wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drank. Matt is at Slow and Steady. He might have his picks up before the ass crack of dawn. We'll see.
I might not. I don't know.
Oh, I know. He's still got a lot of beer to get through, but good luck, guys. Let's make some money, and hey, maybe we become thousandaires again.